Alrighty-o, people. So I'm going to put this first just because I think it's important to say something about what you're going to see next, which is in regards to my son, MarKeng. He's my second son. Brooks is my first, and then there's MarKeng. He's in the middle of 5, right? He had his wedding reception yesterday, okay? And it was an all-day affair. I did not go mainly in part because there's no way I didn't think Amari could cope with the day. It would have been too long, right? And it would have been a trigger for a future seizure. Okay? And as I'm watching the videos that were recorded on this camera, because the camera went for me, right? You know, at some point they're in a reception area, like a hall of some kind, where they're, you know, playing music and they're dancing and stuff, but the acoustics were really like echoing in the hall itself, and you know, and just placing myself there with Amari, oh my God, I made the right decision, people. You know, Tisha is like trying to guilt trip me for not going, right? Because, you know, it's a special day for MarKeng, right? You know, man, oh, speaking of that, I'm going to put this in the background and let this play. There's no, it's a karaoke, so it's just the acoustics of the song, Simple Man, right? That's the name of the song. Simple Man by Lynyrd, Skynyrd or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to let that play because that's basically how I see it with my son in terms of if I was a mother and I had a son. If I was a mother and I had a son, you know, and my son wanted to go off and get married, you know, what would I want for him as a mother? Because at some point, you know, you have to let go of all your children, right? And including a son to marriage. If you don't lose a child to death, right, to whatever, then it's to marriage. Or maybe it could be to nunhood, you know, decided to be a nun or something like that and went off into some monastery somewhere and never seen them again because they were always, you know, praying to Jesus Christ, right? I'm just saying. I mean, there's many ways to lose a child here, right? Not that I'm losing a child, but... So, hold on. I don't know if I'm going to get a copy strike. I don't know if YouTube's going to mute it. Whatever. But I think it's appropriate for what I'm talking about here and now in regards to my son's wedding reception with me not being there. Okay. But then, I already said I wasn't going. So we know that's on somebody's mind, right? Oh, I got new speakers in here. Should we check them out? Why don't we do that? This is to my son. If I had one. As a mother, what would it feel like to have a son? I don't know. And I got this turntable that can record my records onto a computer, and then you can burn it onto a CD, and you can mix it up at another event if you wanted to. I probably have this album too, people. Oh yeah. New speakers? Not yet, just wait. Hold on a minute, people. Okay, so now that I just had a hollering match with my grandson over a stupid Xbox, shut up. Okay, I'm going to put this back on and get back in the mood here. Okay, it should be interesting to see what my iris looks like. Never mind my pupils. Now when I'm looking in this eye, thinking I'm looking straight into the camera, little lens there, I can't see it. So I cheated a bit, if you were wondering what I was doing. If I cover up this eye, I can see the center of the camera to some degree. So I know where to look. So I'm looking dead on as if I was looking at you in the eye. Right? Whereas if with this eye by itself, well, at this distance, well, I quickly lost it. I see nothing. All I see at the bottom is just a little something that could be something. Other than that, it's all. If I bring it back further, I don't see nothing. The closer I get, I can't see nothing. I see nothing. Nope. If I cheat, there it is, up there. Okay, so when I'm looking into the lens, I'm using my right eye instead of my left eye because my left eye can't see shit. Now I have a cataract lens from the doctor in this eye, but this is my original cataract lens. I wish I had my original back because I could see better. Since this thing has been put in, my eyes deteriorate faster every week as it goes by. Doctor said for whatever reason, because, you know, I don't have a lot of moisture in my eye, so he wants me to, which I don't because it's not something I think about all the time, use this crap 3 or 4 times a day, at least in this eye, because the cataract lens has the surface of kind of like a moon, where it's, you know, it's got, I don't know, probably contributes to the blurriness. His solution is to go get a good pair of glasses, as if any kind of pair of glasses is going to last and work for me at any time, the way things are going. So anyway, all right. Okay, so basically, I couldn't go, people, in part, you know, transportation would have been an issue, right? It was a 30-minute drive. It was quite far out from my understanding, and it was a long day affair from like 2 o'clock, I guess, in the afternoon up until 9, 10 o'clock at night, right? That would have been a lot of hours in a confined environment with a lot of people and the echoing of the, you know, the voices and then of course music, right? It just would have been way too much activity for Amari in terms of, even if I do like the park, right, with Riley, like even that I'm concerned about him being there in that situation for any length of time, and I'm already panicking before that's even booked if there was to be a park event, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's actually something I wanted to present to my son, because my son likes to do, you know, my son can rap, right? He can actually rap. He could be an actor if he wanted to be, right? I think he plays bass, right? Obviously he writes books. Okay, so, and I know his friends and stuff, they go to these, I don't know what they go to, but they go to something where they dress up and role play, and, you know, they go to concerts sometimes, and wrestling is another one. And so I was thinking, like, with Riley, you know, like, if we get as far as getting that park, that you know, event insurance, where we can do 10 or how many events within a year under that insurance, you know, if my son wanted to do something with his friends, right, have a rap off or play music or have a hall party or whatever, I mean, there is that possibility. And I was gonna present it to him, right, especially if the foundation is involved, right, in terms of, and it would be, because, you know, that's just the way it would be. So, but other than that, you know, like taking Amari, and that would be we'll just say 2 o'clock, that's not including the time it would take to get ready and, you know, and right, like somebody would have had to come here, pick me up with Amari, by ourselves, basically, because Andre went to Tisha's, and MarKeng got him a tuxedo and whatever.
She had to leave at 1.
She left at 1 just to be there?
At 2.
Oh. And it took you an hour to get there?
No.
Well, you said you got there 5 minutes to 3.
Yeah, before 3. 2:55.
Yeah, well, that would have been almost an hour, 55 minutes.
If you left at 2, then you would have got... From here, it would have took an hour.
Yeah, it would have taken an hour. Either or, we'll just say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 by 10, right? And another hour to get home.
It ended at 11.
I understand that, but with Amari, I'm talking about Amari being there all day with that kahuffle, with the noise and the talking, and you right, and then the music, which with the acoustics in the hall itself, or with the sound system, something was off, and he would not have done well, people. He would not have done well. And that's where it goes back to, like, Andre and I, well, me, right, have special circumstances, because I'm watching what was recorded, right, in terms of what was recorded on my camera. And, my son, I don't know, he mentioned that I wasn't there. And, and then at some point, Marina thanked everybody who wanted to be there, right? She was specific about to say who wanted to be here, rubbing it in, probably with my son, oh, your mother didn't want to be here. Well, if that's the case, I wonder why, if you want to take it down that path, right? But it was more than that, people. Like, seriously, I know Amari. It just would have been too much. I would have had to, like, Tisha said, oh, you could have Ubered back. Well, if it's a 35-minute, 40-minute drive, approximately, how much would that have cost in an Uber? $100? Like, come on. Like, who knows? Yeah, maybe. Just going across the bridge to go see the eye doctor is $20. And that's not very far. So, it wasn't that simple. So that's just basically what I wanted to say, other than my son, he made his bed and he can lie in it, It goes back to being a simple man. I hope for his sake that he doesn't get caught up with the Canadian dream, where, you can buy your way into heaven thinking that, as if that's going to bring you happiness, right, in terms of... he's stuck on trying to elevate the family unit with being financially literate when it comes to business and what it means to be a successful, I guess, business person, to whatever degree you're going to be a business person in a competitive society where the middle class themselves can't even function normally anymore because of what our governments are doing. At some point, but then, he's a bit of a lumberjack. So I would think that if, the fizzy hit the fizzy, shizzy, if the shizzy hit the fizzy, right? Is that how they say it? The shizzy? If the shizzy should hit the fizzy, I could see him surviving basically out in the wilderness looking for edible mushrooms and moss, and maybe drinking pine needle leaves for vitamin C with Marina in tow, being she likes to follow her man. I'm just saying. Oh, I could see him doing that too. I mean, I can't predict the future, people. I don't know what his future is going to hold any more than any of my other kids' future. Some of them got a future, at least. Some of them didn't get a future. And what little future they had, it was robbed of them. You know what I'm saying? And, but the hard, cold facts is, if I would have went with Amari, I don't know. I think it would have been a little more complicated than people like to think, because, they don't have to deal with it, right? In terms of anything, really. You know, when Tisha comes and gets him to go take him to an appointment, I mean, she at best has him anywhere from an hour to maybe 3 hours, depending on what appointment and how far she has to go to get to it. But other than that, you know, so I can't say that I didn't make the right decision, because I did. I based it really on Amari. And I basically, I rearranged some stuff, and I brought out some stuff to put other stuff away. That's kind of what I've been doing a lot lately. And I managed to get my other set of speakers that you just heard onto this other computer over there that has the turntable that's specifically designed to record records onto a laptop program. And I just have to install the program. It's in there. Learn it a little bit. Shouldn't be that hard to figure out. And then start getting Andre to start recording records. And, you know, for the reading, the reading part of it, the critical organizing, you know, learning the different types of music. You got the jazz, you got the blues, you got the hip hop, you got the heavy metals, you got the rock and roll, you've got the country.
I like country.
And so on and so on and so on, right? Right down to children's records with Rafferty. I'm just saying. I got all kinds of records in this house. Enough to keep him busy for a long time, that's for sure. And I plugged him in, and the first time I plugged him in, I couldn't get them to bloody work. So with, you know, I had time, right? And I'm kind of like stuck to the one area because Amari's bouncing off the couch every 2 minutes, acting like a little hoodlum. And oh, speaking of acting like a hoodlum, he's starting to pull the blankets and shit and pillows, and he's purposely playing under them. He's gonna smother himself. Has he been trying to do that with you?
No.
Okay, well, you really need to pay attention to that, okay? Because he can get wrapped up in the blanket if he's not careful, and he doesn't know how to unwrap himself, and can smother himself. So don't encourage him to do it.
I have a problem with that computer screen, by the way.
Pardon me?
There's a problem with the computer screen there.
What computer screen?
The computer screen on my desk.
Why?
It was on him
What are you talking about?
when I first got home, and when I came in the living room. It was first. I saw it on him, right next to him.
The computer screen
Yeah.
was on him?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. His reach is getting really long. Like, really long. Like, he's... Yeah, I was thinking we need to put something up there, a piece of wood. So if that's really what happened, that's really... Well, then we need to, yeah, put something up, because oh my God, his reach, he's just, right? He really keeps me on my toes. Okay, well, I'm going to put that down then. I'm bringing that down. And we're going to do something with that light there as well. Anyway, with Andre gone there for that however long, you know, I spent a lot of, I managed to...
3 days, that was it.
What?
3 days, that was it.
3 days, that was it. Okay. I was confined to that corner for about 3 days. Now I have to go do dishes. Right? Because Amari's just way too fast. And when he's by himself for any second of a minute, he thinks it's funny to be pulling blankets and stuff on his face now. That's what he's been doing for the last day and a half. Driving me nuts. Fast as I flip him around, he flips himself over, and then he pulls that other couch cushion off too. He pulled that thing off like 4 times already. He literally pulls off the whole couch cushion. It's big, and it's tucked in. Don't ask me how he's grabbing it and yanking it and throwing it onto the floor, but he is. So, because if when I got these speakers working, it took, anyway, I attempted to try it again, and I did the settings, and they took, and the speakers actually work, and I had a children's song on, and I don't know, Amari was acting like I was running the vacuum cleaner. He didn't like it. He started crying and he wouldn't shut up, so I had to turn him off. Basically, yeah, that's what would have happened at that reception. If something would have triggered him, that would have been it. I would have been outside, couldn't go back inside. Who knows, right? Then I'm like being hauled off in a freaking Uber or a taxi, right? You know, like. So that's just the way it goes, right? So, yeah, that's all I got to say. My son, you know, I'm trying to put myself in other mothers' shoes, right? If I was a mother who had a son, how would I feel when my son went off and got married? And I think like this, well, he could have went off and eloped, and nobody would have known about it until it was all said and done. And everybody would have missed out on everything, so, you know, that didn't happen. It could have happened. I wouldn't have been the first mother for that to not happen to, right? So, right? So, I'm going to put this first, and then what was recorded on this camera in regards to the wedding reception that was held yesterday from the actual marriage that they had in, I don't know, I'd have to go back into my videos to remember the exact day, right? But we all know, right? I mean, there's more things I could say, but live and let live, right? That's, what else can you do?
You should probably show the camera you pulled out.
Pardon me?
The thing that you pulled out from the closet?
What?
The... You want to show them?
Andre says, what did you call magical tricks?
Stop teleporting stuff.
Oh yeah, teleporting. He told me to stop teleporting stuff. He walked in, and I had this right here, right? He goes, what is that, Nana? Is that a gumball machine? And I'm like, yeah. He said, does it work? This is really heavy. It's very sturdy. And he realizes it needs a quarter in it, right? So I got quarters, and we'll buy some little round candies. They got to be a certain kind of size, I think. And we'll see what happens. But he goes, yeah, you're teleporting. It's really heavy. Like, this is, like, I think this is the real deal. I really do.
How heavy is it?
You want to try it? Don't drop it. You'll lose your chance. That's very heavy. That's solid. That's like, that's an original.
There's a quarter in there.
Maybe. You can check it later. Yeah. I think these are, like, this is an original.
Classic.
There's nothing plastic about it. That's a heavy
classic.
metal. Huh?
I said classic.
Oh, classic. Yeah, it is a classic. So, anyway.
I'm just doing this.
So, yeah, no, you need to watch Amari, because he's been pulling, he's not allowed to do that. Don't encourage it. When you're not here, he just went nuts with it. He wouldn't stop.
Okay.
Right?
Is that okay if I can call Tisha?
No, it's not. I'm busy.
Waiter.
Why don't you let...
Waiter on.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna ask Tada if he can knock on Jill's door for me.
No. Tayden doesn't want to be friends with you. That's what his mother said.
He's on front right now. Wait.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I told him I said I did not say anything to you. Devon said to me, so it sounded like for me. I said, have a good day to you, Tada.
Well, what is he saying now?
He like, oh.
Oh.
Oh, okay. He like, oh, okay then, well, my bad. I'm sorry.
We've got some woman here, over there, accusing Andre and his little friend of running into the ravine the green space of next to the property.
Ravine?
It's just a little... they have old growth trees in there with a... It used to be a river that went through it, but the city cut it off. And anyway, homeless end up infiltrating it, right? And it's been a problem for years, off and on. As a matter of fact, in 2018, a Native woman was murdered in the ravine. All right, that's not even like 250 feet away from where I am here, okay? And her eyes were gouged out, because that shit happens in the city of Surrey every now and then. And everybody thought it was Sierra, right? I explained this to Andre, right? Like, so it's not like this place doesn't have its problems, right? So anyway, over the last month and a bit, Andre has gone over there, you know, to play basketball with a group of friends that he has, right? And then, I don't know, the first time something happened, I guess the boys were out on the streets looking at the construction because they're now building another building. So I got the big ass trucks, dump trucks, all gravel trucks, everything that's big, back and forth through my front road again. It'd be like that all summer long, man. Because they're building another building down the corner here. Anyway, some homeless woman crawled out of a hole from the fence. And then, I don't know what happened, but she started posturing and taking an axe and going after the kids, kind of stepping towards the kids with, you know, and the kids panicked. And they ended up calling 911. And then I guess the cops showed up and they crawled through the hole to get down into the ravine or whatever. They couldn't find the woman. That was incident number one. And then within a week, it wasn't even a week, for whatever reason, Andre went over there to go play again. And this is a place where he's never really ever been accepted, right? Like, even since he was little, you know what I'm saying? And Andre turned that volume down. And this is what I tried to explain to Andre. Like, whatever's been going on over there in the last little while isn't unusual. Turn it down. So he never really was allowed to play there much because, you know, one, I couldn't really go and I couldn't stand there and watch him. So when he was young, he couldn't really go unless maybe his little friend's mom was keeping an eye on him. But it wouldn't be long before all the boys were throwing rocks at him and chasing him with sticks. And then everybody was blaming Andre for it. So, right? Then, you know, years would go by and then he'd go and try it again. And then it'd be the same kind of situation with the same group of kids running around with the same stupid sticks. You know, and blah, and like, whatever, and now he's older, and a little more independent, and I don't, you know, whatever, I know the people that live there, if he scratches himself or something like that, you know, he falls down, they're there, so it's not like they don't know me, and they like Andre for the most part, in terms of the ones that do like him, but for the ones that don't, well, we're gonna get to that, okay? And then the second incident, I don't know what happened, but somehow some rock apparently was thrown over the fence, which goes into the bush, right? There's, on this side of the fence is the subsidized housing with the daycare, and then on that side of the fence is going down the ravine. It's not a very big spot that's been overtaken by homeless people and groups of young teens doing whatever those young people do, to which probably would be no good because they're sitting in a place where there's a bunch of addicts. That's the first thing. You know, why would you want a group of teens sitting where, you know, there's tents and whatever, and where the, you know, the residents that actually live in that ravine are addicts? Well, I guess they singled out Andre somehow, some way, and swarmed out of there like wasps. Where they came from, like how they started chasing him and Jude, basically.
They jumped over the fence.
Oh, they jumped over the fence, so they climbed up the bush, right? Probably strung out on methamphetamine, okay? I'm just saying, why else would you be down there? And there was like 5 of them, started chasing Jude and Andre, and the boys, they split up, Andre ran off and hid behind a storage container across the street at a neighbor's house because he was afraid they were going to beat him up. Jude ran off towards home. Finally, Andre managed to get on the property, but as he was coming to this property, there was a group of those teens now in our front yard stalking Andre when there wasn't a group stalking in the back. Okay, right? And then, of course, Andre went and got his uncle, right? And then the uncle talked to the teens. So that was incident number 2. All right. And then a week, not even a week later, but within the week, you know, Andre picked a fight with me, basically. Turned into a big kerfuffle because he's at that age with those raging teen issues. Trying to do a MarKeng. Well, when he's trying to be diplomatic about it, that is. Right? If he's not the green-eyed monster, he's the, well. Right? In the meantime, I'm like, my nerves are frazzled. Back off. Go away. Be quiet. What part of that don't you understand? Just like we went through just a minute ago before this all happened, right? So anyway, everything kind of calmed down for a minute. But he convinced himself that he could go and play basketball, even though he didn't technically get permission from me because I ended up just giving him the silence treatment and wouldn't answer his question. And when he did ask me if he could go, I told him I would advise you not to because of those 2 incidences. It's best just to stay away because something's happening here where you're being targeted as the fall guy, right? In terms of like who threw the rock, right? Or whatever, right? Even though these issues that they've got going on in that courtyard have been going on for years. Right? Anyway, he goes. That was the day with the fire, right? Yeah. Right?
Huh?
That was the day with the fire in the ravine, right?
Yeah.
I told you not to go. I said I advise you not to go. Right? If you got teenagers running out of that fucking place, chasing you, stalking you in your yard, front and back, right? Threatening to beat you up. Why the hell do you want to go back there? But, you know, he wants to play basketball with his little friends. And so he went. Well, I don't know. Next thing you know, he's coming back home. Well, I had to send MarKeng to go get him. But I guess something happened. I guess a fire started in the actual ravine in a tent. So by the time he gets home, he tells me about it. And did MarKeng go get you, or did you just come home?
I came home, MarKeng. Tatum and me were just playing with the basketball hoop in the backyard.
And that was after the fire?
Yeah. MarKeng came out and then he wanted to...
Yeah, because I asked him to go get you, but you had already come home.
Yeah, he said you wanted it. Like, you needed my help too.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, next thing we know it, rumor is Andre and Jude started the fire. So now we've got some woman who spreads this rumor that it was Jude and Andre who started this tent fire down in the middle of the ravine that is basically all fenced off. Even the whole part got fenced off because I went and double checked. I mean, you can get through it from King George, but you'd have to go all the way around, right? But outside of that, like as if you're going to get a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old boy climbing a fence after they were chased by a bunch of fucking crazy teens coming out of that ravine and go down there and look for some homeless person's tent to set it on fire. All right. So you're right. And then that was the rumor. Okay. And then a couple days later or whatever, like, you know, he goes to see if so-and-so wants to play. And then he's got this woman now telling him, you're not allowed here no more. If you come here again, I'm calling the cops on you. And you're going to get charged for starting that fire. And then he comes home and he tells me this information, right? As this woman is accusing him and Jude of setting this fire.
And of course you went over there pissed.
Well, it's not that I went over there pissed.
Well, you know what I mean.
No. No. It's the fact that I...
Angry. Like, what
Well, I'm like, yeah, because I'm thinking about it, right? Like, you know, I'm thinking about it for a day or two, right? Letting things unfold, see what's going on. And then, you know, I come to the conclusion that, well, I need to speak to this person because, first of all, I can't see Andre or Jude jumping a fence to go antagonize homeless people with a fire of all things yet, knowing that it's just any moment before a band of teenagers can spring into action and start chasing them down the road. Because we just went through that a week ago. Which is a city problem. I mean, it's bad enough that they had a woman murdered in there, and that's not the first time somebody was murdered in that ravine in 2018. With everybody thinking it was Sierra, my daughter, Andre's mom. Okay? Clearly, the city hasn't gotten that area under control yet when you got teens swarming out of there like freaking wasps. Right? And anytime you mix teens with drug addicts, what do you think you're going to get? Okay? Only certain kind of teens are going to hang down there in the bush, if you want to call it that, with a bunch of homeless people. All right, so let's set the record straight here. So I'm like, okay, so we got some woman, I don't really know who she is. I know a couple of those women in there, right? You know, some of them, like I said, if Andre goes to play and he's playing basketball and he falls and he skins his knee or something, the mums, the good mums, I guess you could say, they come out and they'll bandage him up and, right, and just whatever, right? They know my circumstances with Amari. They know I have special circumstances. They know it's hard for me to go back and forth. Never mind when I didn't have Amari, but it's even harder because I'd have to load him up.
Yeah, and there's also a waiter that knows you.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know,
she knows everything.
So I feel pretty safe with those women, with Andre, you know, with those women just kind of keeping a motherly hen eye on him. With the trust that Andre is behaving himself.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but now we've got some other mother who, you know, for whatever reason, wants to single out Andre and threaten him with police if he comes back on the property because she's convinced that Andre is the one who started the fire with Jude.
She's seen us do it.
Yeah. And
Did
she
say there was two boys that witnessed it too?
I'm talking now. I'm going to explain that. So, of course, I'm listening as he's coming in and he's telling me these things, right? And I'm thinking, and then I'm like, okay, I got to say something. I got to go talk to this woman. I don't think she realizes that the boys a week ago were, you know, being chased. If it wasn't a homeless woman with an axe, literally, where they felt they had to call the police and wait for the police and talk to the police and everything, right? I mean, come on. And then a week later, they got a whole bunch of crazy teens chasing them, accusing them of throwing rocks. And even if the boys did do that, I mean, there's a better way of handling that. Because I already explained it to Andre, like, you can't just throw rocks where you think there is nobody. The only time you can throw a rock is when you know there is nobody. And in a situation like this over here, where you've got homeless people living in a ravine, or stowaway kids, or whatever, runaway kids, or whatever you want to call them, right? You know, you can't just assume that somebody isn't in the throw's way of that rock because there's just too many people wandering around. Whereas if you were in Delta, in a different area, in the same kind of ravine situation, but know that there's no homeless people, know that there's no crazy kids hanging out there doing meth or doing whatever, then yeah, you can throw as many rocks as you want. I mean, he's only 13, and Jude is only 12, and, you know, they don't know everything, and you know, and I mean, I'm not saying that they did, because he did admit to eventually throwing something over the fence thinking that they were hitting the water, but I don't think they were going necessarily out of their way to throw it at a group of fucking kids. Teenagers. No. And so both made mistakes. The teenagers should have dealt with it differently, and, you know, Andre should forever know now never to throw a rock where it's like, you know, if you go deer hunting, right, you want to make sure that you're not shooting at a person assuming there's nobody walking around, when in fact there's a lot of hunters, right? If you know there's people around, you just don't willy-nilly shoot into the bush. You have to make sure you know what you're shooting at so that you don't injure a person. Right? Well, it's the same situation, and it's just part of growing up. Alright, so either or. But this, okay, so I say, okay, Andre, I'm going to go talk to this woman. So first I go and try and talk to Tayden's mom. Now, first I knocked on Jude's door. Brittany opened the door. I didn't even recognize her, because I can't see that well. Either or. I said, you do realize that your son is being accused of setting fires now, right? Yeah, I know. I said, well, what do you think about that? Do you believe that? She said, no, I don't. I said, well, neither do I. Like, what's going on? Oh, well, is she wanting to not talk, right? Because, you know, these women, they're fighting within their living, they're all living on the same little freaking corner. Right? You know what I mean? You open your door and there's a neighbor that's causing the trouble, so they're all hiding out in their houses except for the bully, basically. That's what's happening here, right? So then I go to Cadence, and the same thing. She's peeking through the door, didn't even want to answer the door. Eventually she answered the door. I said, what's going on? I'd like to know. Like, I need to hear from you guys what's going on, because Andre's coming home telling me this stuff, right? Oh, well, I don't, you know, Tayden didn't want to talk to Andre because Andre told him to fuck off. I said, oh, okay, well, fine, right? You know, because when they do play together, they usually get along pretty good, but besides that point, kids will be kids. So, okay, so then the woman that's causing the trouble pokes her nose out, right? And of course, and I'm like, okay, calm down. I said, but you do realize, because she jumped right into that, oh, well, Andre's not allowed here no more, you know, he set that tent on fire and I seen him do it. And I'm like, whoa, just slow down. I said, before we get to that, can we talk about the first two incidences? The one with the axe, with the woman crawling out of the fucking hole, and then walking down the streets while the boys are standing there looking at construction, and then she just goes off on some tangent and starts waving an axe at them, and they have to run away to call 911. Like, come on. I said, you do realize that happened? Yeah, but... And then she tried to take it to the fire, and I'm like, hold on a minute. No. There was another incident after that, within the week, with those teens coming out, right? Are you over there? Oh, yeah, he threw a rock. I said, threw a rock? Well, what the hell were those teens doing down there in the first place? Oh, well, you know. And I'm like, no, that's a city problem, right? Like, you know, you can't just have bands of teenagers chasing fucking little adolescents down the road, right? Stalking them in their yard and shit like that, right? I said, you do realize that that was traumatizing for the boys, right? But you have to remember, I'm going there to talk about the fire, but I wanted to bring those two situations up to her attention, because I'm trying to understand this fire situation, right? Okay, then we get on to the fire. And she was specific to say that she seen Andre and Jude herself standing, looking over the fence with two other kids that apparently witnessed it too, with their boys running away with the tent now on fire. And I'm like, okay, so where did they run to? How did they get out? Did they jump over the fence? Is there still a hole in the fence? Like, where were they running? Like, explain to me. Where were you standing? And who are these two other kids? Oh, well, I'm not bringing in their names. You know, they don't need to. I said, no, they do. And if you don't want them speaking, that's fine. We can go talk to the parents. And the parents can get the truth from the kids. Because I've never known Andre to play with fire. He doesn't need to. His uncle teaches him how to have a safe campfire when he takes him camping. His uncle teaches him when it's when you can't burn anything because of the weather, in terms of there's only certain times of the year where you can actually have a campfire, right? And you have to respect the rules, right? And if you do have a campfire, you can only have it in certain kind of ways, in certain kind of areas. And then when you put it out, there's certain things that you have to do, preferably soak the ground. So if they do something in the fire pit, after they're said and done, they'll take the water hose and they usually wet everything down. Okay, right? And then we've got the rocket stove, but right now we're not, because we need to clear out the fire pit. But besides that point, you know, Andre is not one, if he's 13 years old, if he had that problem, I would know about it by now. I can't speak for Jude. I'm not with him all the time. But he's 12 years old. So he just got chased by a whole bunch of teens. And he had a woman with an axe chase him a week earlier, right? To the point where he had to call 911 on his own cell phone. So, as if the two boys are going to jump a fucking fence, climb down the bush to get to the tent, to set it on fire, to climb back up, to where? How did they get out of there? Which way did they run? She couldn't tell me nothing, people. She just wanted to, well, I'm trying to be nice. If you want to take it there, I'll just call the cops. I'm like, okay, well, maybe you should, because this is a very serious accusation, right? Like, I think I'd like to speak to management about this. Who are you to tell Andre that he can't come play here no more? Never mind, come and see if his friends want to play, because he has more than one friend there, right?
I got a lot there.
Yeah, that's all he has. I explained that to this woman, you know, like, Andre's not your typical kid, right?
Close by.
Pardon me?
The only one that is close by.
Yeah, exactly, you know, right? That's his social time.
Caden, he's far.
Huh?
Caden.
Yeah, Caden is, but you've got Blake, Jude, Taden. Who else do you got over there?
I forgot two of the other ones' names, and then there's some more that I forgot.
Yeah, they come out and they play basketball, right? But anyway, this woman, you know, no. I said, well, I think I want to talk to management. You know, if you want to call the police, go ahead, call the police. But I'm not satisfied with this situation right now, right? Because, you know, you're not producing the parents of these children. You won't tell me where you were, how they got out, nothing. Oh, well, I'm tired of being nice. I'm just going to call the cops. I said, okay, you do that. When is the management working? Because I'm going to go talk to management, right? Because that's part of being a parent, right? Right? Because parenting is like, it's like, I don't understand Jude's mom as to why she doesn't want to stand up and say, well, you know, but then, you know, you open your door and there's that woman right there, right next across from you, you know, maybe it's simpler not to say anything. I know what it's like living those kind of situations with freaking bullies, because that's basically what we're dealing with here, right? So I said, that's fine. So she tells me the days that the management's going to work. I said, well, okay, fine. I left it at that. So I have to go. I was going to go on Friday, but yesterday. But I couldn't. No, Friday, Tisha ended up dropping off Kyrie, and I couldn't. So at some point, I'm going to go talk to management, because apparently this woman's son likes to call Andre a nigger.
No. It was the other one.
Devon.
Yeah, it was the other version of it, without the R.
Nigga. It's the same thing. Nigga. Nigger. It's the same shit. And Andre's not used to that word. Clearly, if he was used to the word, he wouldn't care if it was an ah or an right? I'm just saying. So, but this is what this boy has been doing.
I never heard that word in my life, except for Tisha says it.
Once in a blue moon, maybe, but not like, "Hey, nigga, how you doing?" She doesn't do that. None of us ever.
With Alex today, she did it a lot.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe
Alex
it's
was
the.
kind of pissing her off today. She was joking around.
Okay. Either or, it's not like they grew up with that. So I mean,
go change.
No, wait till I'm done my video.
Can I go use the bathroom?
He'll bounce.
I need to go use the bathroom.
Make it fast. That's how fast Amari will bounce. I go into like this mode right as soon as he's by himself. So anyway, yeah, apparently her son's out there saying, this woman said, Andre's been saying the fuck word. And I'm like, oh, okay, well. And then, but it turns out this boy is quite lippity-yip, right? And he's singling out Andre as a, nigger, right? And Andre is not used to that, but clearly is being done with ill intent, right? And this boy is a little younger than Andre. I don't know. But his mother's a bully. She's the one that's saying Andre's not allowed to play. How old is that little boy?
I don't know.
Younger than you, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But she clearly plays favoritism, and she doesn't control her own son, as she's, accusing other people's kids of something, and because Andre doesn't live on the property, easy to target him and put everybody else in check, because she's not only accusing Andre of setting the fire, but she's accusing Jude of setting the fire, and Jude lives right there next door to that woman, and Brittany clearly doesn't want to deal with it, and apparently Jude doesn't even go outside and play that much anymore because of the bullshit, right? And it's like, no, she's saying you can't even come to the property. He's not even allowed to go to the property to go see if Jude wants to play, or like he's on now playing something on Switch with Tayden. So now that him and Tayden are friends again.
That's why I wanted the Xbox, and I can talk.
Yeah, well, whatever. Don't talk to me about the Xbox.
Yeah, I know. I'll wait for
Tayden will come here and ask Andre to play. So what? Tayden's not allowed to have Andre come play over there now? If Tayden and his mom want Andre to go over and visit? Because that woman that doesn't control her own little kid with the name calling and stuff wants to accuse Andre of being a pyromaniac after he's being chased by a bunch of methamphetamine addicted freaking teenagers out of a ravine that's infested with homeless people, where people actually get murdered. I told her that's a city problem in there. Right? If there was no people in there like it's supposed to be because it's green space, not a big one at that, we wouldn't even be having this issue. Oh, but they got to go somewhere. They got to be somewhere. I said, but you do realize what's down there, right? In terms of, having tent fires with homeless people isn't unusual. I told her about Sierra coming home with a big-ass burn on her leg because of tent fires. So why are you blaming little boys who clearly wouldn't go down there for any reason? Why? To wake up the teenagers from their catnap in between getting high? What else is teenagers doing down there? Just hanging out with the homeless people? And that's okay? Right next to a freaking daycare with subsidized housing? With a bunch of little kids running around? Okay. Well, it's a good thing a 12-year-old has a cell phone to call 911. And you don't want to cough up the evidence? You don't want to tell me the parents of these children so I can go talk to the parents to see if maybe the kids are lying before they falsely accuse my grandson? But it's not about that. It's about putting Jude into check and everybody else into check in that playground. While her son, the troublemaker, is going to be targeting the next What? Nigger? Yeah, okay. Condoning nefarious activities in the ravine that's not even 10 feet away from her? And you're worried about my grandson being the culprit here? Okay. You only got 20 people drug addicted in a ravine, camping out for who knows how long, and you're worried about a 13-year-old who helps with his nephew under those quote-unquote special circumstances, and he's not allowed to go play and hang out with his little friends for what little time he does have with them, which isn't very much. Be a troublemaker. Yeah. So anyway, I have to deal with that crap. I told Andre, even when I go talk to management, though, you need downtime from that place. But it's not right. This woman has absolutely no right. And if you know, I'm like, after the fact, I've been thinking, because I was going to, but I couldn't because I was looking after Kyrie, right? But when I do go, like, you know, like, if that woman really felt that Andre and Jude set that fire in that tent, then she should, if she's got the evidence and she witnessed it herself, like she said she's seen them crawl out of there with those two other kids as witnesses, if she can't produce that shit, but even, like, she should have called the cops. She should have called the cops and had Andre and Jude dealt with. Right, nip it in the bud. But she's lying, you know. You see, that's the thing. Because she wants her little boy to be in charge of that playground, people. To be the bully. And she's teaching him how to run other people out of there so that her son can be the bully and control the crowd. Right? And right now, he's got Jude hiding out in his house, which is right next door to each other. Right? With Tayden's mom not even wanting to open the door because she doesn't want to get involved with it. I mean, what the hell? Yeah, you think Andre did that? You think Jude did that? Then why didn't you call the police on them that day? If you got so much fucking proof, why didn't you call the police on them that day? Right? Yeah. Thing is, though, she thinks it's okay for that shit to be going on. And when I first started talking to her, she told me that, you know, I told her, like, you know, Andre's mom wasn't, you know, well, I know about that because my whole family's that way. That's what she said to me. My whole family. Maybe she's got some family members that live down there for all we know. Maybe that's why she doesn't care. Because outside of that, if you're so concerned, you should be concerned about what's going on down there. Like, you know, summer is coming, right? It's been a few years since somebody died down there with their eyes being gouged out, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't talk to me about that fucking place. No. Clearly the city doesn't have a handle on the homeless problem as of yet, as if they ever will. They're too busy building their unaffordable stack and pack buildings that only benefit the new and improved preferred citizen, right? Somebody that you can mold into God knows what, right? Because you know when people move into those situations, there's going to be a bully on that block too. And I can only imagine what the bully would be like. I'm just saying.